listening to Cuppa Joy with the Queen of NE right here on Wrestle Joy. All right, everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Cuppa Joy with your girl, the Queen of NE, right here on Wrestle Joy. And this week I've invited one of my best friends on to have a chat with me about the joys of wrestling, the things that make us happy when sometimes we need a little pick-me-up. And that, of course, is my pal from the Queen of Pops experience, Pops. What's up, Pops?
Hi. I find it very strange that you would get me to talk about joy when I'm always the one that's down in the dumps about wrestling. But
No,
I think we have some good
always
things.
True. That's not always true.
You're
You
right
have some
about that.
moments. Yeah, you have some moments that you are really passionate about that sometimes if you're not really happy with what's going on, you turn on and you feel better about. And that's what we want to celebrate this week in this episode together. So let's talk about one moment. We'll start with you first. One moment to you that's like the pinnacle when you're sad or you're annoyed with something and you want to turn this moment on. And when you do, the joy of wrestling comes rushing back to you.
I mean, one of those, it's not even just a moment, it's a whole show, is Wrestlemania 23. It's because I was there, and every time I watch it, like all that comes back, you know. I've been to different house shows and Raws, but nothing is like a Mania when you're there in person, so that brings a lot of joy back to me. You know, Shawn versus Cena, Vince got his head shaved. It was fun. That's the one that I go to.
Yeah. Well, because you know you were there, so it's something super special to you. And I think a lot, especially now in these times, right? Going to live shows isn't necessarily an option for a lot of people. Some people can, and God bless you, that's wonderful. Some people can't though, and I miss that. And the thing that brings me joy, and I'll match you on that one because I've been thinking a lot about it recently as we're coming up to the 1 year mark when you and I were at a GCW show in a soccer/industrial warehouse.
With the roof falling off.
With the roof falling off and people jumping off beams.
Yeah.
And of course, Starcast and All Out. I was thinking about that and how blessed we were to be there, how excited we were to be there. And how much fun we had. We had such a great time with all of the people we got to meet, wrestlers, of course, but also friends. So I think that's like super special. And it's been on my mind a lot lately because we're almost at the literal 1 year mark. So that was one moment that I think about like in person that meant a lot to me was to be there. Traveled. I've never traveled farther than like 2 hours for a wrestling show before. So this was like, get on a plane, go to Chicago, get a hotel, stay for a few days, and go to all these awesome events. And that was a really special time.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I was packing up your gift box that I'm sending out, and I saw a picture of you and I and Mr. Clean at the Joey Janela's La Party Palooza or whatever he called it.
Party Palooza.
That was fun. I mean, I forced you to talk to Matthew Justice, right?
Yeah, you did. You did. That was very joyful.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I kind of, sort of, maybe got busted staring at Alley Cat a little bit.
Yeah, we were all kind of checking her out because she's just a beautiful cat.
She is. Anyway.
we love Alley Cat.
I was in the same vicinity that night as Scarlett Bordeaux and now Karrion Kross. So that was fun. I got to hang out with my boy Steve Tatai there while I was waiting for you guys to get back from the show. So, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of those in-person moments and connections that wrestling, you always say to me, wrestling brings people together. We've talked about that a lot, and it's really such a community vibe. And we really felt that, I feel like, at StarCast. And I think in addition to those in-person things, now that we're living COVID era, a lot of the stuff that we've been doing, because there hasn't been a lot of wrestling, is kind of going back and finding what we love again in a lot of ways. Like for me, I've watched a lot of older things that I haven't watched in a long time because I was reminded about how much I love wrestling and how much I missed it. Yeah, we had some weekly things, but they weren't making me the happiest. Not all of them anyway. And I missed New Japan, and I was really sad. So I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do to make myself feel better? And I went back to my favorite match of all time, Pops. You know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. It's the TLC match at WrestleMania 17, which is also my favorite WrestleMania ever. That match is like my home match. Like when I want to watch wrestling and I don't want to watch anything current right now, that's what I turn on. I turn it on. I get all excited. I freak out still to this day when I watch Jeff Spear off that freaking ladder with Edge, and I freak out and I watch them fall. I've seen it countless times, and it still gets my heart racing and excited. So many cool spots in this entire match between, of course, the three that pioneered TLC, Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys, and Edge and Christian. Plus, we had really cool spots with Lita, really cool spots with Spike Dudley, and Rhino was in there, and you just, like, remember all these cool things. And when this was, like, the ultimate wrestling fandom moment for me when I was younger, and it still is to this day. And, like, this match holds the test of time, for me, anyway. And I know there are people that may disagree, but I love good tag team wrestling. And for me, this was the pinnacle. Because it was dangerous, it was a little edgy. Like I said, that spear from Edge to Jeff, and when they fell, that like 12 feet or so down, oh my God, I was scared. The double table spot, too, was nasty. Everything was really great about this match, and I absolutely loved it. So, I could talk about that match and review that match for probably 3 hours. Easily.
Right. You know, I've always said that wrestling, as crazy as we are as a wrestling community,
mm-hmm.
we are one. Because we are those special people that outwardly say that we enjoy watching quote-unquote professional wrestling. I think that some of us, we're dying out a little bit now because of COVID. I think COVID exposed the business because they didn't have the crowd to hide it. You know, some things. But what other community is full of such diversity without any... What does the wrestling community argue about? We argue about our personal opinions about different things in wrestling, right? But as diverse as we are, we don't argue about race. We don't argue about ethnicity. We don't argue about sexual orientation. We argue about our opinions over fake fighting. And that, to me, I will take that any day of the week. I will fight and argue with you about fake fighting all day. As long as we remember we're people first. Yeah. Nothing else matters. We're people that have opinions, and I'm not going to lie, most of the people whose opinions are different than mine, they're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. You know.
I love that.
But that's one that just can't, like, how can you be upset about a community that doesn't argue about the things that the world argues about?
Yeah, all we care about is movesets and who's a spot monkey, and or do you like FTR or the Young Bucks as your favorite tag team?
Yeah, or like, do you like leg slappers? No, I don't, but whatever. We got to deal with it so they can get that crack, you know? Or, man, I don't know.
Or our passionate argument about Okada.
I was trying not to go there.
That's okay.
This is a happy show.
Today.
This is a happy show, so I didn't want to make you unhappy and let you know that you're still wrong about Okada.
No. But you know what's cool about that is we respectfully disagree. Right? We just do. I like things that you don't like, and you like things that I don't really care for. But I think that's the heart and soul of what it is to be a wrestling fan. There's something for everybody out there, and not everybody's gonna like what you like, but we love to argue about it anyway because it's fun. fun. We love this business. And that match is my favorite, but it's not your favorite. So what is your favorite go-to match?
I don't have a go-to match.
Okay. What do you have?
I have a go-to moment.
Mm.
And that moment for me, I'm not even talking about the full moment yet, and I'm getting goosebumps. It's crazy to me. It's just when Liz hopped in the ring and threw Sherry off of Randy, and Randy and Liz got back together. That is my moment in wrestling.
Mm.
Because as a child, I didn't know. My house was kind of messed up, but I didn't really get love until I saw that. I was like, dang, that's what real love is. And then I started to recognize love in my grandparents, in my, family. So to me, that, I guess, not only changed my wrestling fandom as a child, but it also changed my outlook on life. Like, there was real love, Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Isn't that amazing that moment in wrestling had such a profound impact on you that it was able to show you not just what it is on television and storyline wise, but you were able to apply it to your real life. That is like the coolest part about being a wrestling fan. You find a moment, a person, a segment, a story that resonates with you so much. It impacts you as a fan and it impacts you as a person. That's really special.
Yeah, I mean, and that's my number one moment. I do have other things, like when I'm feeling down. It's not always just one thing, but I'll look up like a Jake the Snake Roberts promo,
Yeah.
or I'll go watch an old Flair match against Steamboat, or I'll listen to an old Flair promo or an old Dusty promo, things like that. Because even though they're from 80s, early 90s, everything they said could apply today.
Sure.
I'm not sure that the wrestling that we have today will apply in 20 years. But I can't be unhappy about that because what Flair and Dusty said in the 80s and early 90s will apply 20 years from now. So that's what makes me happy, I guess, that we have the old stuff to go to. Jake Roberts, I don't care who you are. Nobody cuts a better promo.
Yeah, he's so talented.
He does it very one voice level, so that you have to get close to your TV or turn your TV all the way up to hear every single word. And it's so menacing, and it's even more frightful because he's not yelling at you.
Yes.
It's like, oh, this dude's really gonna kill me. He is really gonna slap that DDT on me and put a snake on me. I don't want that to happen,
Run away.
So, yeah, old moments like that, I guess, soothes my old soul.
I think that's really cool. And they do apply to today, and they resonate today, and they matter today. And that's something super special about old school wrestling. And what we enjoyed as kids, or what our parents or grandparents enjoyed as kids, holds the test of time. And that to me makes me open my eyes and go, wow, like, did we even know what we had when we had it? Just to watch all of these great talents ahead of their time, and the amount of talent that they had with all those people that you just named, all in the same place. It's unbelievable to me that we have all of that wealth of knowledge and experience and match quality to go back on and say, wow, this is what made so-and-so that I know fall in love with the business, who then taught me, right? Because that was my great-grandfather. He fell in love with that business. Old school. He loved all that stuff. And then he loved The Undertaker. And he told me all about it and made me watch it. And that's how I got into wrestling. So all of these really cool things that we learned about, we can still go and watch. And then we get to kind of pass that on moving forward, which I think is like the absolute best part of wrestling. And I think a lot of it too is that storyline quality that you were talking about, and those promos and the way that they engage you in what they're doing. Yeah, wrestling, it's awesome to watch, and it's fun, and it's physical, and you do really cool things. But if I don't care about your storyline, I'm not going to care about you. So have me get invested in what's going on. And nothing for me got me more invested ages ago, and I say ages ago because it was 9 years ago, and that feels like ages ago, than CM Punk versus Cena at Money in the Bank. That match, I felt like I was in Chicago. Like, I felt like I was there in my living room with my cousin and my brother watching that pay-per-view. And just, my eyes were wide. You could feel the vibrations coming out of the speakers because that's how loud they were. And I've had the privilege to speak to people who were actually at that pay-per-view, at that show. And they were like, what you saw on TV is nothing compared to what it was like live. And that blows my mind. How passionate fans were at that moment makes me love to be a fan of wrestling. And that story, the entire storyline to lead into that is perfect. Perfect. Not a thing I would change about it. The build to the very end, last scene where you see CM Punk blow a kiss and wave to Vince McMahon and leave with that belt through the crowd. It's just like, it's hard to find perfect storylines in wrestling. It's hard, like, from top to bottom, end to end. And that is one of them for me. And that had a huge impact on my fandom because I left watching wrestling for a little while. I was in college, didn't have cable at home. I would only get to watch, like, when I went home and my cousin and my uncle bought the pay-per-view and we would watch it. But I was in school, so I didn't really get to see a lot of things. So I stopped kind of watching unless I was home. But that like brought me back in hook, line, and sinker. And that pay-per-view, my brother was really into WWE at the time. He loved John Cena.
Good
and
man.
It made us bond even more. Yeah. I mean, I love CM Punk, right? So, but I'd like to see it too. Don't get me wrong. But it was such a cool bonding moment for us to all watch that together and just go, wow, what did we just witness? I live for moments like that in wrestling because that's what makes me love this business and love being a fan is stuff like that.
Yeah, you'll get no argument from me. I don't think I have a single friend that doesn't point to that match as a moment where they kind of brought him back.
Yeah.
Or that, I mean, we've talked about it before. That is a match that you go back to a lot because it changes your perspective and brings you back around. I have other friends. I believe Damien feels the same way. You just, how do you go back 9 years and not feel like that could be going on today? Because it's that far ahead of its time. There's so much, I guess, sitting here talking about it. I don't ever really think about what I do, when I'm mad or sad. I just throw on old wrestling. I don't ever really think about it. If I do think about it, I do the things like I said, I look for an old promo or that's just that one moment in time. It's just so crazy how wrestling is like a real life relationship as a fan. Like you get along one day, you fight the next day, but at the end of the week, you love each other. So, yeah, I mean, how can you be not happy about that?
Yeah, and it's a special thing too, and I think, a lot of what I love so much about that relationship is even in the times where I'm angry about something, it's led me to find other things that I love. Because I was upset, I found New Japan. Because I was upset, I opened my worldview to independent wrestling years ago now, right? But the fact that I was upset about it made me find things that I can't live without now. I love New Japan and I love GCW more than I like some other things right now. So the fact that you're able to find that and build this community that we've built and have my eyes open to Stardom. Shout out to JPQ for getting me to watch that. I really enjoy Stardom a lot. And starting to watch Noah and DDT Pro again. So I watched it a little bit a couple years ago, but then kind of gave it up. But now I'm kind of getting back into it. It's kind of cool. And then all the stuff that they have to offer. Plus now AEW is a thing. The Independence, GCW, and Synergy, and Black Label Pro, and so many other great promotions. That's a real blessing to be able to have this much wrestling to choose from.
Right. And, the funny thing is, too, is even though you were upset and you found other things to love, you found other things to love inside of your current relationship.
Right.
So I guess, for a wrestling fan that's struggling in their, legit relationship, how do you feel about your wrestling week? And can you still love it at the end of the week, Because if you can probably love your girl or your guy a little bit longer than you think you can. Because the wrestling business will put you through so many emotions, and sometimes they do it in 3 hours on a Monday night when you're trying to stay awake and watch really crappy product, and you're trying so hard to just not totally crap on it because you know that the performers are doing what they're supposed to do, but they're not given the leeway to do what they can do. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So
they're doing what they're supposed to.
You could find the moments in there to find something to love about it. So at the end of the week, you could say, well, while I may not have liked everything, there is something in there that still keeps me engaged in this relationship with wrestling. There's something in here that still makes me say, I enjoy being a wrestling fan, and here's why. I can find something. Even the smallest things sometimes make the biggest difference in your wrestling fandom. And I think that is something that cannot be undercounted or understated. It's complicated being a wrestling fan. Remember the relationship statuses on Facebook? I don't have it anymore, but it used to say it's complicated. Yeah. That's how I feel about wrestling sometimes. But right now, and especially last year, we always used to say 2019 was wild for wrestling, right? And we didn't know what 2020 had in store, and boy, were we blindsided. But there is still so much to love about this business. And I just want to encourage everybody to explore their wrestling fandom. And if there's something that isn't making you joyful, find something that will. There's so much at your disposal. Even if it is going back and watching an old match. I think you'll find your fandom renewed and your spirit lifted a little bit. That's what I do. That's what Pops does, as we just explained throughout this episode. Sometimes it's about finding those moments, matches, promos, that give you that renewed appreciation for why you fell in love with the business in the first place. And what more can you ask for? You can turn on Power Slam, Indie Rest TV, YouTube, the network. There's so many things for you to choose from that you can do that with. So that would be my encouragement statement to you guys, is even if you feel frustrated, there's something about this business that makes you love it and talk about it. What is that? Go back to those roots. I guarantee you'll feel better in the morning. Take that prescription from Dr. Queen. On today's episode of Cuppa Joy. So I want to thank Pops so much for spending the morning with me to talk about this important moments for us and important moments in our fandoms and what we think we can do about it. So thank you for joining me for Cuppa Joy. Let the people know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me every Sunday in your ears when you're listening to the Queen of Pops Experience. I'm pretty sure my new Twitter handle is @Pops2021 because I'm just skipping the rest of 2020. And somebody stole it before I could use it. But anyway, and once a month, my best buddy, Damian Purvis, and I are going to be doing a live to Twitch monthly run-in. It should be fun. Or not. I don't know.
It'll be fun.
We haven't done one yet, so I'm sure it'll be fun. Hopefully I don't get kicked off of Twitch. So Pops no net. So.
I'm sure you'll be just fine. So everybody, you can find Pops at his Twitter handle. I'll link you below, of course. And of course, listen to QPE, the Queen of Pops Experience, every single Sunday on Smart to Death Radio. We do predictions and watch-alongs and whatever else we feel like doing. So it's super fun if you want to hang out with us some more. And for everyone, thank you so much for listening. And remember to keep your Cuppa Joy full with Cuppa Joy with the Queen of NE right here on Wrestle Joy.